Hey, top of the morning to you, friends. My name is Michael. Grandkids call me Roo. Thanks for being on Roodoodles Live Monday morning. Wow, I missed the weekend, but I missed it for a beautiful several reasons. But I wrote on my note title of the show. You'll see it says, "I need to sit down." Okay, I know I'm sitting down, but my brain is still fired. So, just had a blissful, beautiful weekend. Hot, hotter than the inside of a cow here in the southeast of the United States, North Carolina, and going to say hello to some of you here. I've got a couple of projects I'm going to work on just this morning in the hour, and one of them is a kind of a repaint, re of a painting that I did even yesterday. I do it from time to time when I think I'm tired. I think it's my go-to tired painting. But had my friend here, Greg. Some of you are on the show Saturday, and he loves seeing all the comments, and he loved being here in the studio with me. But man, I loved having that friend here. He's going through a job change in his life, and so he spent the weekend with us, and we just talked about, dude. I got socks older than you, and I've been through this 4 times, and let me tell you about what it's like. And you know what the word that we've come up with? We didn't come up with it. Okay, I didn't even invent any words. I'm thinking about it. Maybe Roodoodles is a word I invented. Um, but basically, it's this. It talks about in Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle, and Greg was a part of my friend. Well, he's been my friend for quite a few years now, but he was a part of hearing me say for the first time ever the 4 words together called Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle, and I had written them on a card in 2008. I believe that's when it was, 2008, 2009, somewhere right in there, maybe 10, but anywhere. It gives you, it's a dozen, more than a decade ago that I picked up this card, and he and Steve came to my studio, and they came up here, and they said, what's it like to go through change? And we're talking about what's it like to be creative, and what do you do to think creatively? And I said, here's the thing. It's a nutshell for me. If I personally, I didn't say if you don't, I didn't point my finger at the lens or anything like that. I'm just turning around. Steve's shooting this way. I remember this. My desk is still as messy as it is now. And he says, oh yeah, here. You think I'm kidding, don't you? Yeah, I'm not kidding. Let's see. I don't even know if I can pull this back far enough for you to see. But there's a microphone that I use. There's a computer that I use. Hey, here's my breakfast this morning. It's pound cake. It has eggs and sugar and sour cream and flour. Pfft, that's what you'd make a coffee cake out of. This was a 5 pound cake that we almost ate 3 pounds of. So my point is that it's in this setting that I get to create things. And so I said to them, if I don't noodle, doodle, fiddle, or piddle with something every day, I feel like I'm not, and this sounds so hokey, but I'm not complete in some way because my my brain and my body and my soul come together to use these to be some sort of a maker, whether it's twisting wire or welding or solving something or whittling or um, who knows what. Writing, oh man, and he's a writer. Greg's a professional writer, and so and I wrote a script for him this weekend, and we shot a little commercial, and so and brilliant actor. He taught acting in school for a while, and he graduated. I mean, he's done everything. And so his sweet family, he lived in near Atlanta. Anyway, so the point is that he said, I can't believe you called the book Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle. And I said, you guys were the first to hear it, and that was probably 10 years, 11 years before I even wrote the book. And I didn't know I was writing the book when I would say things that would just reverberate out of how I felt about creative people. And so that's what Pat kept up with so diligently and sent me a list of these. And she said, you've been saying these things. And I said, oh my gosh, I can't believe the grace that you have to send me these after I was thinking, I know I've been saying things, but I'm not keeping up with them. And I'd have to go back and listen to all the shows. And who wants to go back and listen to themselves? So that was a reunion for us. And we sat together, we talked together, we prayed together, we we created and laughed and cried, at both sad and happy, and what it's like to transition, and what it's like to lose a job, what it's like to find a job. And I used all my jokes. I said, you know what? People would come to me sometimes and they would say, "Hey, I heard you lost your job." And I go, "I didn't lose it. I know right where it is. They just don't want me in it." And then one time I talk about being shot over the wall in the catapult. Well, somebody's got to be the first to go. And you go like, "All right, I'm out of here. Got a new job today. I'm going out in the field, out of the castle." And you go flying over the wall. So the part of this that really makes me laugh is that, I have said this for years, and I said the humor will come when you realize that you really wanted to be gone from here for a long time. And he goes, "I can't believe you said that, but I think it's true." And so we know, and a line that I use with him that I've been using for a long time from an old friend of mine, and part of it, we put it together as something like this. It says, "You know that you know and you know her. When you know that you know and you're knower, it's time to move." And so we sat and we laughed about that, and we got in the process of people would say, "Hey, I heard you left your job." And I said, or you were asked to leave your job, or I don't know, I'm being too. I go, "Yeah, you are. What do you want to know?" I said, "Well, you don't work there anymore." And of course I don't. I said, "I left over a health issue." And they go, "Oh, I'm sorry, what?" And I said, "Well, y'all have heard this, I'm sure, because I've been said it before on this show. But this is what happens when you transition in your life. It was a health issue. They were sick of me. I was sick of them. Now I'm going to find out what I'm supposed to do in this next season of my life." So art to me is a season, but it's a season that comes around weekly and sometimes daily for me. And it's something that's a passion for me, and I love it. So here we go. All right, let me say hello to some of you. Jason says, "Creative Morning Infusion." Yes, please. Good morning, Jennifer Yentz. Thank you. Linda Schleitning, Bob Hendrick. Morning from the rainy, cool forest of Minnesota, where they drink pop and not soda. Tambourine Marie, thank you for being on the show. June Jones, Irene Shraz, has an N in there. It makes me hard for me to say. Alice Durham, thank you for being on the show. Denise Albright from Exeter. Man, you are up early. I've been up early. I got up at 5:30 as Greg mounted up on that big old fringed, tinted blue-green Indian motorcycle and headed south. Crystal McElhaney, thank you. I messed that name up too. Trish Brown. Miss Liz, thank you for being on the show. Could you paint the elusive French hen today? She's been around this summer. Did she go on vacation? Oh my gosh, I'll write that down. My elusive French hen, which really was a part of me starting this. I'm going to write it right here, French. That French hen, I wanted, and there's a story with that. Okay. I hope I can read my writing here. I could have been a good doctor. Okay, I love it. Thank you very much. Tissy Chambers says, "Rough week in K-Town. Tornado, trees down on..." My son mentioned that. He has a big tree down in his backyard, so glad you guys are safe. K-Town, of course, is Knox Vegas. Grew up in Knoxville, Tennessee. Opal McNeil, thank you. June Jones says, "I have the need to create daily. Many wonder why I just don't sit and relax." I think I'm going to paint something for you today that shows you how that happens in my mind. So that's going to be a fun little painting I've got for you. I'm going to do that. A little bleary-eyed this Monday, Heather Kuhlman says. Sue Kate is going like bleary-eyed. I'm just getting ready to go to bed in South Australia. Glad you're here. And Lori Stanley, Handelmeyer Henderson, thanks for being on the show. Let's get busy here. Here's the desk. I've got a few things laid out. One thing I want to show you that I mentioned in my workshop, and that I may have mentioned briefly, but I'm going to show you these two brushes. I'm going to compare them to two, what brush is this? That's a 10. Let me see if I have an 8 laying here by, I think that's an 8 right there. It is. That's an 8. And this is a 6. Okay, perfect. Take a look. Okay. Take a look at these two brushes. 4 brushes. Yeah, I'm learning to count. Here we go. I'm gonna pull in on them just a little bit if I can. That's as far as I can go in right there without. Let me focus. All right, there we go. That's a pretty good shot. Not bad. Okay. All right. These two are the brushes that I have painted with. This style of brush that I painted with for the last 12 years. Easy. Okay. A Cheap Joe's Art Stuff brush. They're both marked that way. They're the green that we recognize. They say American Journey on them. This is an 8, and a 6. So there they are, size 8, size 6. And people say, oh my gosh, size 8 is way too big to paint small paintings with. Not necessarily. Remember, now these are interlocked nylon. Okay, so why would it have to be interlocked? Well, they're cut in such a way that the hair goes together and will help you form that better point. They are supposed to work. In watercolor, you need a bulbous brush to hold water, but you also need a tip to get in there in those tight places sometimes without changing as many brushes as old painters do. My wife holds 5 brushes in one hand, a roll of paper towels under her arm, and she paints like a wild person. And so here's the other thing. So she's got all these brushes. I mean, they literally are just sticking out of her hand like this all over the place. And she's going like, let me get that one there. She'll go, okay, I'll touch that. And she'll do this. Because she doesn't want to lay them down. And you're also, her painting is up. And it's a space thing. Okay, you get it. Space thing is an astronaut, I think. But all right, so these are interlock nylon. I love them. I love them that they're durable. It's a workhorse brush. I have done a lot of very good. Okay, that sounds arrogant, but it's not. I've done a lot of paintings that have been decent, more than decent with these. I'm telling you, it works. I have always fought against having a sable brush to do watercolor because they're great for portrait painting. They're great for fine art painting. If you are going to be selling works at the gallery, museum level, sable brushes are real hair, okay? My Yasutoma brushes are real hair, but the hair is not a sable. It's not a fine hair. It's a goat hair, but they tend to line up well the way they're cut, the way they're trimmed, and the way it comes in. Now, I keep doing this for you, and the reason I do that is for this, is that sometimes some of you will go buy cheap brushes, and you just get the brushes at like, oh, look, I got 7 here for $2 in this little bag. And they always do this. And so doing a detail painting where your brush never comes together, it never interlocks, it's always like this. It's great if you're doing scrub brush or grass. Sometimes I'll pull those brushes apart and do that. But I want you to have decent brushes as your style moves. So put them on your Christmas list, your birthday list, or take yourself out. And for the price of a number 1 at Chick-fil-A, you're going to buy this brush about $9 or $11, something like that. And you're going to I'm going to keep this for several years. All right. Now, here's the brushes that I put on my resource list. If you don't have that list, you can get it at my website. I put these pseudo sables on there. So I've been painting with the pseudo sable for some time in my pocket. It's this little brush right here. It's kind of an expensive little brush. This is probably a number 8 also. And here it is in the short form. It's Miller's Pseudo Sable, and it's trimmed beautifully. And this is really smooth and beautiful nylon. This is just a tad softer, and I feel it. It's hair, okay? It's a synthetic, but it's ground and it's trimmed just like hair. So it's pseudo. It's a faux. But I want you to know that I've upgraded, and the brushes are just a few more bucks because they're a little more expensive to make. But I've used them in several paintings. I'm going to use them this morning, and I love them much. And they're marked this way. They're marked Miller's Pseudo Sable Synthetic. And this is a round brush, number 8. This is the number 6. So there they are sitting side by side each other so you can see. And you're saying to yourself, well, that looks awfully fat to get in there. Well, this hair, because it holds more water, it will come to a beautiful point when it's wet and I drag it across something. And so I suddenly realized that there's more there, but look how it's sharpened in. It's just brilliant. Okay, so sometimes it's for that time you need just a bit more water. You want to pull a little more access into a cotton paper. Not on a thin mixed media paper. You'll overload that paper, but it'll give you an idea of what it's like. So I wanted to show you those 2 new brushes, and then let's get busy here, and we'll move on. All right. Annette Wall, thanks for being on the show. Elaine Barnett, glad you're here. All right, let's do this. I'm going to paint this little painting, and so just to warm up my Pseudo Sable number 8, let's throw out a piece of paper here. And why don't we use a piece of Fluid 100? I'm going to paint this next painting I've got on this Kilimanjaro. Let me back up on my camera just a smidge here. Hold on just a little bit right there so you can see a little more full of what I'm doing. And then I'll pull a palette over here. And I'm going to do a refocus because I moved my camera. Hold on one second. Let me focus on this little head right here. I'm doing this manual focus uh, because that's pretty doggone close right there. Okay, because the light's bright in here and it reads my hands, it reads my head, it reads my hair. Y'all are saying, hey, get a haircut because all we see is your hair. And all right, here we go. So this is the, let me put on some French blue hen music. I don't have a French piece on here. That's really sad, isn't it? So I can't paint it with that. That's Irish, but she can pretend she's Irish. Okay, this pen right here hasn't been used, so how about that? All right, I'm going to take a number 5 Pentel liquid gel. It looks just like the 7, except it has a 5 on it. This one has a 7 on it. These are, and the whole point of this pen was I started for this. As the roosters, I started painting roosters, and I started giving them the voice that I wanted them to have. I thought, you know, they always sort of fall to, and they always fall to the woman, the wisdom, the matron, the person in the hen house, the person at the home who gets a lot of things done, more than most. The people who already knew how to multitask. Well, I'm trying to go, my wife's going, I can do that, tell me. And I'm going like, you're doing something else. She says, I'm listening too. I'm going like, okay, just trust. Okay, so I painted these roosters and hens in places, and the hen always was blue to me. Now, I wanted the hen to be kind of, I wanted to be, I'm trying to say the name of the hen, and it just went out of my mind. Martha Stewart's best hen, which I've sent her a painting of one of my hens. Buff Orpington. I wanted it to be blonde. I wanted it to be yellow, beige, and fluffy, but yellow, beige, and fluffy is hard to paint. And one day I'm looking at it, and I did a little blue one, and Carol comes over, and she says, this blue you're using, this blue right here, that's what we call French blue. And I've called it French blue all my life, and I'm going like, you know, I think it's ultramarine. She goes, it's French blue. Look at the window sills and the doors in south of France. Look, it's French blue. And I go, so for us, it's become French blue. So these hens became my French blue hens. So here they are, and they're just rugged little hens. And here's a great one right here. So there's her beak, and she doesn't have a hanging split wattle like the roof. She just has a nice little curve wattle that comes down, a little eye spot, place for a couple eyelashes, of course. And then she's going to have, don't you like my camera that I moved it over here? And hey, Ruth Fulton from Ireland, playing a little Irish music for you. Kimberly Fox, thanks for being on the show. Chris Young. Upgrading, he says, is worth it. I've learned this with paper. Yeah, no kidding, man. Better paper, better paintings, better pop, better light fastness. All right, so the hen has this little cut comb, and the reason it's smaller is so she can wear a fascinator, which I found out during the Kentucky Derby when I went up there, and I painted those hens with fascinators. In fact, maybe this hen needs to have a fascinator. So you just kind of go and you start. In fact, I'm going to paint this hen with a fascinator. You know what a fascinator is, right? It's a very expensive little hat made out of feathers that you don't really need, but you got one. Okay, so this comb can start here, and she's going to be a wonderful brood hen. So she's a little more portly in her way. Her tail feathers don't come up like roosters or do like this. They tend to stay more out this way. She'll have one or two that'll just kind of poke a little bit. Really, she's tucked in. She's pretty clean. And so her legs are a little fuller. She comes down like this. She's sturdy in the wind. And so this is my little blue French hen here. She could have been a little puffier on this side. I haven't painted one in the right. Who said that? Did it say? Did Miss Carla say that? Miss Carla, did you tell me to paint one of these? I think you did. You should have known that I was out of practice. So here we go. I'm going to take the 5. I think I had the 7 anyway. I'm going to take the 5 and I'm going to draw a little crosshatch under here just like this because you want that hen to be firmly planted. And so I'm going to show you how easy this is with that new brush. But first I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to leave that alone right now. Okay, then finish that. I'm going to take the number 6 pseudo sable right here, and I'm just going to, I'm not going to wet this paint. I'm just going to bring the water over from my brush and dance a little red in the brush. I want it to be pretty strong. So you see what I'm doing there? I'm just dancing it. I'm not poking it in like this. Remember, I'm dealing with hair here, so I just want to put a touch there. And I want to come in here. Now, I might wet just a little bit of the brush and paper there and let it mix at the same time. Look at that. I love that. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to clean that out, and then I'm just going to go get my bigger brush. Watch this. I'm doing this the hard way because I'm going to have a wet painting that I'm going to have to deal with up here instead of finishing the top and coming down. But I'm going to show you what's going to happen. This is that number 8 pseudo sable. And so here's what happens to it when you add a little water and go in this way. I'm not trying to paint the whole piece. When you're adding water, think of water leaving holidays also. So you're coming in when you know leaving holidays, I'm saying you're making some space miss. Okay, so there's some spots there. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to grab some of that French blue. I'm just working on this palette today because it was still on my desk from Saturday. I'm rolling my brush in this very gently. I just use the water in my brush to wet this. There's a lot of blue in there. And remember, I've got water on this, so I'm going to do what I do with the ink sometimes. I'm just going to bring it across and I'm just going to dance it in. I'm not painting it and trying to fill in everything. I'm just letting the watercolor lay down and rest out of my brush. And if it doesn't rest and it rolls a little bit, more power to it. We're going to turn my email off here in a second here. You got to worry about me sometimes. All right, here we go. So there it is right there. And I'm going to come back and add just a touch more blue right in the front part here where the dew is settled. She's walking through sage grass on the way out to the barn. Now watch this. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this 6, and where's my other palette? I don't have any French gray. This is French gray here. So I'm going to grab a little French gray, putting a little in there, and I'm just going to take that French gray and I'm going to drop it in here in a couple spots too, just to give her a little more depth and detail in some of that. I'm still using a number 8 brush, so don't think you cannot use a big brush for small areas. You can. You just have to keep it up on its toes a little bit and don't pack it in there too tight or you're going to be cleaning the mess up later. Okay, so look, now, you see what I did? Like that. I pushed too hard and I hit the blue and the blue's running down into the leg. So I'm just going to cut that off with a paper towel. Go back, pick up a little more color. I'll come in there and do it again, just like this. Look, I am using this number 8 brush to go right in those tiny little places right there. If I run out of the lines a little bit, when has that ever bothered me, right? I'm going to grab a little gamboge on here. I rinse my brush out, come in with just a touch of gamboge right here. Put a little right there. Just touch a little of that yellow right in here. Let some of that blue and maybe just a little bit of orange on this too, right there, to just back that red away. I like what she's doing. She's got one little red spot in there. There's a loose feather in there. There's a loose feather at all ends. Maybe even got a little touch of a lamp black feather laying right down in here like this, just in this area a little darker. All right, she's still a French blue hand. Now watch this. I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to do her a little. She's got a beautiful new hat on, and of course you know that hat is what it is, right? It's going to go like this, and it's going to go up here. I don't care for this music, but it's happening anyway. So. Take that number 6. Where is it? Here it is. All right, stop that. All right, here we go. Watch this. We'll come in here with a little bit of beautiful green and just darken these little eyes with a touch of green. I'm going to match her hat to her dress with a little of this French gray or French blue. Here it is right here. Just some beautiful blue on the dragonfly body. There he is right there. I'm going to pick up a little orange and come in. This is Halloween orange, which is my least favorite holiday, but that's between me and nobody else, but I did make the comment, didn't I? Okay, there's that. You got to have a little turquoise in here because that is Yaya's favorite color, so the little turquoise is going to be on the dragonfly. And then I'm going to put a little more red in here now to tie this to the dragonfly where the fascinator's sitting on top of her comb. So I waited to put that in. I've got to have an eye in there, and I'm going to do that with the 07 pen, just right here, like that. And a little more eyelashes, a little bit of detail right in here. Close these off like this. Bring this in, put this to here. I'm going to take my 6 and sweep across here. This was where it had a little bit of red in there. Should have cleaned it just a little better. There it is. It'll go out when I bring in some. Look how close I can get with this 6 to put a little bit of detail in there. So I'm loving these brushes is what I'm saying. And I just wanted to show you today, when I find a new product, I pick these up just right before I think I did the workshop. I was in Cheap Joe's and I picked these up. And so they're all surprised because they're going like, you're usually buying this. And I'm going like, yep, but I'm trying something new today. I'm on a tangent. And I'd already put them in my resource because I'd had the pocket ones and tried them. So there's my little red hen. Dang, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bucket here. You know I love to paint buckets in my paintings. And just something about farm buckets just laying around outside that I really like with a little rust on them. There it is right there. I did that with a 5 pen. And I'm just going to come in here and bring in whatever color was left in my brush that I didn't clean out well. I'm going to put it in, but I'm going to put a little green on this bucket because I like farm buckets that have a little patina to them. A touch of brown here, just like this, bringing this back. What happens to my mind is when I get into this mode, the story takes over. And then I just start adding things as I go. I didn't even know I was going to paint a hen this morning until it was mentioned, and now here I am painting one, and I'm adding a little story to it because why? Well, everything in my life has to be a little story, and there's a reason for that. It's like it connects me to the art, it connects me to people, it connects me to my past. Greg and I had these great conversations about grandfathers and fathers, and so here I'm taking a little bit of a little peep who is looking up. Oh my gosh, look at this. He's looking way up. He's got one finger down on here. He's got the other one pointed out like this because he's getting ready to make this comment. Look at him on the, here I got to come in on the, can I do that? Can I come in on my little peep here? All right, there he is right there, see? And so the peep in this case, so here's what I do in my stories. The rooster, if he's in the story by himself, it's showtime. He gets the voice. If he's in the painting with a hen, they're having a conversation. Sometimes she wins. Did you ever see the movie My Fat Greek Wedding? He may be the head, but I'm the neck that turns the head. It's a great line. So sometimes he gets the last word. Many times she gets the last walk-off or word, mic drop concept. And that's just how I paint. Sometimes the little peep, the innocence of a child can say the truth that can just shock everyone. So sometimes that happens. So you see, I haven't taken anything new out of history. I'm just using that to push into my art. So when you're painting landscapes, wow, and you see the sunset or you see the clouds move, are you thinking about the kite that's flying? You didn't see a kite. Well, there should be one. Are you thinking about the tree that was blown over in the storm and you're thinking, I want to see the rings of that tree, or I want to look at the inside of the bark and I want to think, what wind was able to just twist this up by its roots? When you hook a bulldozer to it, it's tough to pull out of the ground. So it's that kind of thing that I think it naturally occurs in creativity. And so you want to take that. So here I'm going to have to come back here. I'm going to grab my number 6 pseudo sable. I'm going to go and get a little bit of just a touch of some buff titanium or a little of that French gray, and I'm going to build some wings. But I also want a little bit of a different color in the wing. And so I pull a little mint julep in there. What? Well, I bought mint julep right after I had gone to the Kentucky Derby. I don't drink them, but I thought, shoot, I can paint with them. And I don't drink them because it's not I hate the taste of alcohol. And it tastes like alcohol. And I'm going like, why would I want to drink alcohol? It reminds me of country doctors. I'm going like, I don't want to go to the doctor right now. All right, so I'm going to grab that 6 again, and I'm going to go get a little bit of gamboge and come in here, and I'm going to do the same thing that I would do if I were painting it with water. I just didn't put any water on this first, but I'm just touching the brush and letting it go where it needs to go. Don't feel like you have to line up with the box and paint. This is how you toll paint. If you're a toll paint artist, more power to you. If you're making those little houses and painting toll windows, if you're doing detail, paint like this. If I needed a window that showed just the light in the window, I'd have to paint like that. Or I could just paint like this. Swipe a little water in there, touch it, and just go, okay, I think that's all I want. Done. So for me, I just touched it, and so now I've made a mess on my underpallet, but that's just how I operate. Whoever said I was going in the right direction anyway? Okay, so you get this concept. Now, a minute ago, before I started talking to myself here, I had a statement, and I'm going to come back to it. So, but really what I have now is I'm going to put a little bit of lines on the bucket and just roll those around. I'm going to clean this section up here. There's the bale. There's some grass coming up. I put some grass in color, but I always want a little bit more. I'm going to come in here with a little bit of Payne's Gray, just my pencil. Here's the pencil. It's not even sharpened yet. It's a Murado Warrior number 2. I'm just going to do a little dirt on the farm because, you know, farms are dirty. There's a little sky. Skies are, everybody assumes there's a sky. I don't have to paint the whole sky. And if I painted the sky blue now, where would my rooster, where would my hen go? She'd be gone. So that gives you a little idea. Look what happened here that I'm going to worry about it just a tad to touch it, and that's all. I'm going to come back in here and add a little more of this darker red right over this and push it down a little bit right here. There it is, just like that. Oh, man. All right, I'll get a capture for that, and you'll see it later. I'm going to sign it right here. Beautiful. Okay, he said beautiful. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it about my own painting, but you think you got my idea right. I apologize. All right, let's see if I can get this back into focus. And I love being my own producer, road crew, technology person. Okay, there it is. Anything I missed? Yeah, when it dries, I'll see a couple things that I've missed. For instance, I want a clean brush to do this with. I want to come in here. I'm just going to grab a little bit of this underneath and put it right in here on this bucket. I want a little bit of shadow shading underneath this little peep on top of the bucket. And I want a little more touch of just some rust running down like this. Okay, and some dots on the bucket. This bucket's way too clean. There's a ring around the bucket, and it's got some rust on the bottom. Got a little bit of rust here. Okay. All right, if I wanted to run some down this bucket, I'd turn it upside down and I'd do some drips coming down this way. So, because it's upside down, right? So now you'd see that it would look right in contrast. All right, a little bit here, one more little wing part, and I got it. So there we go. There's our little, there's my little French blue hen with a fascinator. So she's off to church. Love it. Go to churches back in the South when I was growing up, and women would have on hats. Man, I'm going like, this is too cool. All right, let me show you what I want to paint now for you. Let me see if there's any questions. Chris Young, hi Ruth Fulton, Kimberly, it's Tony. Hello from Wyoming. Thanks. Yes, it was you, Miss Carl. I see that now. Jason says using a bigger brush style can help. Using a bigger brush can help keep your style loose. That's exactly right. And the obvious part of that is that you run out of the lines, because we all were taught in Miss Wilson's class, or Miss Skelton's, Miss Peters, Miss Mabry. These are all my teachers. Miss Slusher. Yeah, I had Miss Slusher. We were all taught to stay in the lines. Stay in the lines, okay? A stayed line is a sleeping line. He's just there, Lion. It's a joke. You'll get it later. Okay. Shouldn't cross the state lines. Okay. All right. Yeah, I like the size of your French hen. Thank you very much. Yes, and in real life, she's painted on 6x8, so you see she winds up being a good kitchen painting. She is about, ready for this, 4.5. She's tip to tail. She's 4 inches. Whoa, that's fantastic. Right on the money. I see now that I'll have to do a couple touch-ups. Look, here's one right here. I want a little more shadow coming down on this little peep right here when I turn that upside down. So filled him in just a little bit more. And I also might take my 05 here or even a little fountain pen and come in here and just do a little more fluff and stuff on this little guy right here just to make him have a little more personality. All right, so we'll do that. All right, I'm going to lay this over here out of the way and pull in another painting for you. All right, Martha Palmer, glad you're on this morning. Carol Marie, Joby Goins, Joan Kari, upstate New York. Do you find that you paint most roofs facing the same direction? Yes, most of the time I do. And you saw her going the other way. Last night's painting, he was going left. Most of my roosters face left. This morning I'm painting a rooster that's facing right. And so what happens with that is it's easier for me to go this way than this way. Look, so what I'll do sometimes is I'll turn the paper a little bit. So Jason, you're left-handed, I know that. So you're reaching around like this, and I don't know how you do it, but you have this, and I was with a sketch artist just recently who's left-handed. I mean, brilliant, and he suddenly just rolls this in. I'm going like, that just looks so outlandish, outlawed to me, but I get it. And so same this. So yes, there is a way that you find that probably I haven't worked on enough going to my right because it's easier for me to go left being strong-handed. I've turned that way. This opens me up. This closes me in. See, the difference is crazy. So I have more control this way than I do out this way. So it's just a control thing, and it is muscle memory. And if you don't think that makes a difference, folks, try it sometime. You'll get an idea. Hello from Kentuckiana, Linda Stepp. Thanks for being on the show. Ina Minks, thanks for being here. I'm left-handed, so I go left to right. You're left-handed? Yes, there you go. So Ruth Fulton just said, in England, now if you're Sue Kane and you're drawing a teacup, you have to turn everything upside down. But Ruth is just around this way and not down under the world, so she goes, you all even drive on the wrong side of the road over there, Ruth. So that is, you play to your strong, weak side. Can it be changed? Yeah, and I'll find that I work a little harder sometimes to make the beaks. When I started this and I wanted my rooster beaks to kind of get their purpose and look the same kind of each time, and the way that I wanted to see the beak, I didn't want to see a long chicken lip. I didn't want to see a bird beak. I want to see a rooster beak. It's bold. He hammers things down, you know. And so I wanted to. So I spent doing 50, 100, 150 of them just on a study where I just go zip, 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 zip. And so I would do that. I just go, hey, this one goes this way. There's a little break. This one goes, that's too hawk. This is more straight. That's kind of what I'm after. This is very easy to come like that. I got to be careful when I go right that I don't hook it too much. And so I push it out, but I don't want them going like this. That's not a chicken beak, okay? It's a cartoon chicken beak, but it's not a rooster beak, okay? This is a hen beak. It's a shorter beak. And you start looking at them, you start doing them, and you go, ooh, that looks right. Ooh, that looks right. And so now I can do that. I don't draw many I don't draw many roosters facing straight on, and the reason is because I don't like showing both eyes, because you start to focus on the eyes and it doesn't give me a good feel for the comb. I have done it, and it's okay to do. They always look a little mad, and they always remind me of Woody Woodpecker cartoons. And see, all that story comes back to me, and I'll just go, I'm going to put mine going somewhere or coming from somewhere. So now you know the rest of the story. These are insides that you don't think about until you're an artist. And so also I lose some of the beautiful flow structure of a rooster. His feathers look like the wind's either blowing them over his head or blowing them straight back, so I don't see as many, and I get more colors if I keep them opened up. People say, wow, why don't you paint rabbits? And I'll go, well, I got 3 in my backyard who would literally sit still and probably let me paint on them. They're 3 wild rabbits that Carol has basically tamed, and they don't like vegetables anymore. It's sad what we've done to them. They only want bread. And we say to them, rabbits shall not live by bread alone. Get out there and eat some clover, you knuckleheads. But they're standing at the door, kind of like this. And so we've created it. And I could almost paint them because they're that, but there's not a lot of color for me to show there. There's not a lot of color to give me what I want. I can put any color on a rooster and no one ever complains. Sometimes I'll put the weirdest green in the world in a rooster and someone goes, I want that green. It matches my countertop. And I go, whoa. All right. Kilimanjaro, here we go. Yay for us lefties. Hello from Culpeper, Virginia. Woo, what a place. Will you paint a roo or a penguin with a flute? I think you sent me a note on that, Patricia. A penguin with a flute. I don't know if I will or not. So, because I'm horrible at taking recommendations. I just painted a French blue hen, but I paint them all the time. So a penguin has a little different beak, but a penguin with a flute. Flamingo, did you say flamingo? I painted, no, a roo. Okay. I was going to say, I looked at my book yesterday. I painted some flamingos, but they're going in my new book. Flute with a penguin. All right. Not now, but it's possible. I'll do one for you. All right, here we go. I have to practice that once or twice just because the flute is going to probably be the simple part. This is Kilimanjaro, 140-pound bright white, 100% cotton. Yes, it's my favorite paper. And people say, well, there's not a lot of paper there. Well, it's 5.5 by 9, and I'll trim the top part off here. If it bothers you that it's ripped out of a notebook, it shouldn't. It's a great way to move with this. I'll just take these little scissors and cut this off. It'll have to be cut again because I don't cut with scissors. Normally, I just use a pocket knife. So here is the piece of paper. I'm going to come in just a little bit. Let's see. Let's see. Miss Carla says, I was given some Aztec watercolor pens, discovered my paper solely disintegrates with them. Yeah, but I'll tell you what will also disintegrate. You put them on too rough a paper and you'll disintegrate the pen. So I think they're nice if you're gently paying attention to what you're coloring. I think they're great for the grandkids. I don't like using them in normal art because I feel like they leave the line, and I just soon use my flare pens and add a lot of water quickly. So you kind of got my 2 cents on that, whether you ask for it or not. All right, here we go. So what I'm going to do this morning is I'm going to paint an Adirondack chair. I think I got time to pull this off. I painted one last night, but I really wasn't done, I don't think. And so this made me think about my week. So here's what I'll do. I'll take a pencil sketch, and I'll sketch it down like this right here. Let's just put on some music here. Anything, doesn't matter what it is. Little Adirondack chair comes down. It's got a piece of wood braced in here like this. Another piece. They kind of come down like this. Then it's got this backer piece that comes out like this. That's a pretty small chair, so I can maybe make that a little taller when I pin it in. Comes around like this. Comes down here. This part comes here like this, heads down, and then the seat part slopes down like this, and this becomes just the final leg piece. It goes up like that, and this piece comes on down to the ground. There's another bar across there. That's not a bad Adirondack, okay? So that gives you that. So here's what I do with the pencil. Man, I'm from East Tennessee. Here's what you do with the pencil that will help you get a feel for how the rooster's sitting in here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to drop some feathers in just a second. I'm going to figure out what he's doing, and I think his head is going to be hanging down something like this, okay? This back here. Tail feather going over the back of the chair. Another one sticking out here. One sticking out there. There's a little one coming through the chair. Here's one that comes around. Watch this. I don't like to use those, but I reach for them sometimes, which is maddening to me. Catch that little feather there. And then watch this. I'm just going to grab some feathers right here. And I've cut through. That's why I did this in pencil, because I want the rooster to be, I want the chair to be, and the rooster to be working together here. Bring this down. Catch it a little here. Come in with his big old belly right here. Here's his the end of his feathers coming down. His foot's going down this way like this. Here's his toe going out there. Toe going out there. Here's his other leg. It's going to run out this way and just go down. Da, 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 da. And he's got this foot up, this toe up, that one, this one just resting there like that. That's pretty good. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a little bar there, and I'm going to do, okay, the rest of this I'm just going to do with pen. All right, so just take it as it goes. All right, so here we go. This should be fun to do. Roo, you have a French rabbit. French word for bread is pain, silent N. French word for rabbit is le pain. Pan is the French word for bread, so I'm close there. So pan, la pan is female bread rabbits. That is brilliant, Linda. All right, I love it. All right, here we go. So there's his beak right there. That's a pretty good beak going to the right. Here's part of his waddle coming down. I notice I'm not staying in the lines that I just drew. Why should I? Okay, it's my rooster. I can take it wherever I want, and I'm just making this up as I go. I'm taking this down. I like that right there. I like it that his eyebrow is launched up a little bit, like he's sad or angry. A little angry eyebrow is a raised eyebrow. I did it on purpose because I see a story coming. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw a feather in right here, just like this, and one up and down through that one into here. A piece of the wood coming down from the chair right here. And that cuts over. It's got a double back on it. And then this piece comes in. It's double there too. There's a piece of wood there, but it's got a feather coming off to the side. So now you see why I'm doing this like I did. I've got these feathers coming out through the chair. And then I've got this arm covered with a little feather. It's coming in right here. And then it comes down. I'm going to stop the arm there in case I get in trouble in something I'm getting ready to paint in just a minute. I'll show you what that is. Bring this down. There's the chair leg. So now I'm just tracing my own sketch, and I'm building the chair in here. So you can't really see the bottom of the chair. Why? It's because the big old elephant's rumpus is in the way. Now watch this. I'm going to bring this leg down, and I'm going to put a brace on that leg like this. There we go. I think what I want to do here is I want to build this up. I want to come down here like this. Yeah, with that. You're like, what is that? I'll show you in just a second. And I'm putting a little brace on this. And I'm also going to put a piece of wire on this like this. There's a wire. So you can see he's got something wired onto his chair here. Okay. And I'm going to double that arm because it should be doubled. And then I'm going to put... I'm going to go like I did last night. I'm going to put a glass of lemonade right here. There's a glass of lemonade. His feathers reaching around it just like that. Couldn't clop that, but the colors will handle that. I'm going to build up a little more of his belly here. Come down this with a little more. Put in another chair thing. There's that. There's his little here. Here's a little behind the eye, which is okay. So you see he's coming together pretty well right there. There he goes. Let's see. Isn't that amazing? Jason picked up on it right away. Some of you should always notice this. This one little tweak. Here it is right here. There's the eye. It didn't do that. It did this. Look at the eye. Look, which one's angry? Ta-da! You see that? This is like surprise. This is like angry. It's that one little piece of the eye that the eyebrow's up. And so that's what I did there. How do you get to know that? You look at illustrations. You look at people who draw eyes. Denise wants her dogs to look happy. She wants them to look sad. She'll drop a little of that yellow gray in there. They'll take some of the light out of the eye. The eye's not as bright. All sorts of crazy things you can do. All right, building this rooster leg. Am I painting with a 7? No wonder this is so bulky. All right, I'm keeping it now. Into it too far to change, but can't go back now. All right. This little leg there. I'm going to take this. I'm going to shorten this foot. I went out there too far first time. So now I'm bringing it back in like this. So there he sits. Okay. Now, I like this rooster. All right. I like it when the story starts to come together and it surprises me a little bit. So here's what I do now before I get anything else. Lots of eye study. And Denise just jumped in there. I mention these people because I see their work. I mentioned Chris and Denise and Jason a lot because they paint a lot. I see some of you, but what it is that like if I look at a little teacup and I wanted to paint a little filigree, I can say Sue Kane on her Tuesday teacups has me captivated. I say I want to see what teacup she came up with today, and I think somewhere she's got a china cabinet that I want to look at. I want to stand in front of it and just open it up. You know, our wine glass cabinets like that. Carol, when somebody comes to our house, I think you know this. Somebody comes to our house and they say, "Would you like a glass of wine?" And they say, "Oh yeah, I would love one." She says, "Go to the wine bar and pick out a glass that suits your personality." And they go, "What?" Yeah, just fine. Like, some of these are probably very expensive that show your taste. There's some Waterford in there. There are some cut crystal that are beautiful. There's a Kate Spade in there. And some have been gifts over the years. There's one that Linda Hamilton drank out of on a set from a movie that I helped with. And so I had two. One was Jim Belushi and Linda Hamilton toast with those two glasses. So with the gold ring, I bought them. And when everybody left the set, I looked over and they were still sitting there. And I went, "Okay, thank you." So I rolled them up in my towel and I put them so they wouldn't touch. And I put them in my toolbox and carried them out. And they said, "We get everything out of the room." And I said, "Everything's gone." Nobody needed them. They were throwing them away. They didn't care about them anymore. So I took them. So one of them over the years has been crushed, but it was fun to have one and hold it. So we have all these. We have one that's shaped like a thistle, Ruth, from Ireland, and one from Scotland also as well. So you get that concept of what I'm trying to say there. All right. I love, so you do a study on that. You do a study on glasses. You do a study on that. Today I just did an iced tea glass that's going to get a little lemonade in it. And there's the line across right there. And I'm not going to put ice in it because I don't want ice in my lemonade. Now, here's what I'm going to put in here. Look at this. I'm going to come out right here. I'm going to come in right here. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to go around here. I think you can see what I've got already. We'll take this out to here like this. It's not a very good fishing rod, but it's a fishing rod and it serves my purpose. And there's the bell coming over there like that. And there's some eyelets here that are going down. Now you've got me going. There's the eyelets. There's the line right there. The line's coming over here. I won't finish that. So basically what I did was I just put a fishing rod holder that's kind of wired to the chair here. I don't know if I have time to paint all of this, but I'll post it later today and you'll see where it went. But here's the thing. I told you that I needed to rest today. So people say, well, fishing really isn't resting. It depends on where you're fishing. And so for me, I thought what I would do would just put a rock right here. And you think, oh, he's getting ready to draw the water, but I'm not. I'm putting in some dirt, and I'm going to do this right here. I was thinking about this early this morning, and I thought, I'm not sure chickens really like to fish, but I'm pretty sure chickens don't like fish. And so I thought, I'm just going to paint a chicken fishing in the cornfield. And so that's how the story became. And so basically, I used to have Greg and I had this thing that he said it, and I'd said it all my life. And we had a couple of those things cross this weekend when he was with me. He grew up in West Virginia in the mountains, and I grew up in East Tennessee in the woods of East Tennessee. And not far from the Smoky Mountains. And so we had similar things of squirrel hunting and rabbit hunting and raising chickens and being with grandfathers who plowed the ground and dads who plowed the ground. So we had some similarities there. And so there were times where you just could be beat and you'd go to the riverbank and you'd throw out your worms there on a little float. We called the bobber the float. So we'd set it and you'd start catching fish. Well, you'd forget how tired you were because I really just came to sit. So we decided that I said a long time ago, sometimes if I just want a peaceful moment and I don't want anybody to bother me or ask me what I'm doing, I'll just go and I'll just take my old Mitchell 312 that I had and I'd throw back the bail and I'd cast it out there, but I just put the bobber on it and I'd let a little line hang and I wouldn't bait the hook. And I'd just be sitting there so people would come by and they'd go, and they go, catching any? And then they just go on. If I say I'm catching, they want to see the fish. They want to know what I'm fishing with. And I'm going like, I just want the quietness of the waves lapping in, the wind blowing across my face. So I didn't bait my hook. But it'd been fun to have a snack. And it was no way in the lake to catch some Vienna sausage. So I just thought what I would do was that I would just paint him fishing in the cornfield and just sitting there resting. And that's how I felt like I'm going to do today. I've got a lot of busy work today. I don't know how I'm going to get it all done. But at some point in time, I think this is really what I want to just go do. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to see that he's sort of bothered by a peep. And I did a little pencil sketch over here on the side. I don't think you can see it this morning. In fact, I think I'm going to hold off till I put the title on this, but this will give you an idea of where I'm going with this. So for the next 5 minutes here, I'll just paint some of this and you can see it coming together. But this is how a story forms in my brain. As weird as it is, that's what happens. Here's the number 6. Take it away, Cody. This is number 6, Pseudo Sable. Look at it roll the color in. It's just so fun. Look, my nylons will do this too, but it's fun having a new brush. The first thing you do when you get a new guitar and you tune it up is that you suddenly realize that I have the potential to play and I have the potential to write a new song. And so it starts happening and it's really fun when it does. Sometimes when you get a new brush, it's just a little bit better than the old brush. It feels differently in your hand, however, and you just start moving off with it, and it's a joyful thing to do. All right, I'm adding a little paint. I added a little water. Now I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to add a little water, and then I'm going to drag the paint to it. So I want a little of that right in there. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of green and just put it right here. I'm going to pick up a little bit of black and put right in here. White. I'm just making it a little different as I go. A little black in these feathers right here. A little bit of French blue, which is ultramarine if you go buy it. I'm sure all these colors, a lot of places put numbers on their colors because they just do. I don't keep up with those numbers, nor do I keep up with the names of mine most of the time. I just look over and go get the blue. But because I painted for so long with the 3 primaries, gamboge, which is the yellow, ultramarine blue, which I call the French blue, and Joe's red or Hot Mama red, because I kept up with so much of those colors at the same time, those are the 3 that just really kind of come to my mind all the time. I'm going to have a little bit of royal amethyst. Oh my gosh, he pulled that one out of the woodwork. I like this color. I like purple down in the bottom end. I want some French gray, not blue, but French gray to come in on top of that. And clean that off and come in with a cleaner brush and put a little more French gray right in here. Just pop it around a little bit. Grab this, and a little touch of that red down in here would be good for that too. Turn a little mauve colored or pink. I kind of like it. That's kind of wild. I do want a little more green in this painting, so I think I'm going to drop a little green here, just like so, and a little touch behind him here on the chair, just right in there. I think I can do this in another minute here. I'm going to mix my color in this palette. Here's gamboge, going in an empty full pan with a little bit of Joe's red, Red Hot Mama probably mixed. I don't care which one of those it comes out with, so it's not like I have to have the same color, the right color all the time. This is a little orange for me, So I'm going to add a little more gamboge, and I'm going to come with, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take this paper towel and I'm going to touch this, erase some of that color, and come back in with a little more yellow in the next batch. There it is right there. So I was able to erase just a little bit. I'm going to take this and puff this red out just a little right here, back on his britches, back to here, a couple little feathers there. I think my chair is going to be turquoise, but yeah, shoot, I might have time to get to it. Let's see if we can here. Watch this. I'm going to use a number 6 brush, and you're saying, whoa, that's a big brush to go in there and fill that in. It doesn't have to fill in perfectly. I can run out of the lines if I want to. It's my chair, my painting. Don't worry about it. If the colors run together, it's watercolor. Let them run together. Nobody's going to mind or care or say anything. And if they do say something, if they pass judgment on it too severely, guess what? It'll never hang in their house, and that's okay. You don't paint every painting for every person. Can I just repeat that? You don't paint every painting for every person. I need this painting to connect with someone's story, just like it connected with mine. I'm fishing for corn, because when I put the water on and when I come back to the house, I want the water boiling. I want to shuck it on the way back up the hill, and I want it boiling in such a way that in 8 minutes, there's a little blue fell in there. I don't care a bit. I'll just mark that blue right on over here in the rest of this corn. It'll look like everything's supposed to be. In fact, I'm going to get some darker and put it back in here on some of these wings like this. In fact, I'm going to even get some greener green here in a little bit, and I'm making a cornfield just in a matter of 15 seconds. Remember, I don't have to fill it all in. I'm going to get some Payne's gray, and I'm going to punch a little dark in here in between just to have a little. I'm going to grab some beautiful ground dirt red. There it is right there. I'm going to add a little gray on that rock. I'm going to roll a little of this in right here and put a little bit of a shadow. I want a touch of green in this shadow. Okay. Why? The garden, the sun could be coming that way. Maybe he's sitting in the sunlight. And then a little bit of some of this purple underneath right here to do this in. So this is kind of how I make a story happen. It's always fun to see somebody else do it. I love to watch artists paint things. And I need to take more time doing that. And so there's going to be a little peep in here, and he's going to have the question, and the Roo's going to give him the wisdom. There's one more thing that needs to happen here. And I'm going to do it with this number 6 brush just because I can. Here's what it is. I'm just going to grab a little bit of titanium. Let's see if I can find the color I want right here. I'm going to add a little titanium in my brush. I'm going to grab a little yellow right here. There's a little yellow I'm mixing. A little buff titanium right here. A little more buff titanium right here. There we go. Look at that. I'm going to lay that in my brush. And then I'm going to go in here, shake it one time. I'm going to go right here, and I'm just going to do some tiny little tassels on. Watch, I'm just putting a spot right there, right there, right there, right there, right there. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab my special tool number, let's make it up. Special tool number 57. Let's see if it's in here. Here it is. Remember last week I cut off the end of a brush? Well, I cut off the end of a brush and I sharpened the other end like a pencil. So now I'm just going to take that little pencil and I'm just going to push it in here like this. Has no paint on it. It looks like a pencil, but it's not. It's just a sharpened piece of wood. And I suddenly used it. Let me see if I can pull this in. I want to show you. There it is. I just painted the little fodder on the corn. Wow. Come back in here with a little pencil, a dark leaf in there. All right, so there's going to be detail on the legs, detail on the comment, and there's going to be a little peep go in here, and I'll finish this morning. I would have probably finished it, but I painted a French blue hen, and I loved it. It has been a while since I painted one, so I felt great about painting one, all right? I got a number 8 brush rolling some yellow back in here just to bring a little more light color to this guy, and I kind of like that. A little yellow in the eye, and he's going to make a comment. I'm going to add a little, look, I'm using a number 8 brush to do the detail on this little piece right here. Can you see that? Yeah. Green rod. and then a little brown handle here. It's 5 after 10, but all right. And I think I'm just going to do a little bit of let's just do a little gray. Just make this holder gray right there. Okay, there we go. All right. Oh, sorry. I didn't put any lemonade in the glass. There it is. Okay, we're done. And a straw. Got to put a straw in there. That's it. All right, I'll finish him up, clean him up a little bit, and there's my rooster fishing in the corn. Trust me, it's got a caption. I don't know about not liking fish. I saw my girls eat a meal. Okay. Let's see, self-portrait. Thanks for sharing. All right. Self-portrait. I like it. Yeah, this will be close as I get to self-portrait. Hey, thank you all for being a part of Roodoodles, and thank you part of having me hang out. I love to get paintings done, and I like to paint them when I'm thinking about a story. I toast you with my last 2 bites of pound cake and my hot tea. I got a busy day ahead of me. I've got a commercial to edit. I've got some calls to do in consulting. And I guess I'm going to paint a penguin with playing the flute. We'll see how that goes. I love it. Appreciate you all. Stay behind the mule. Hands on the plow. You cannot push a plow. This passion of art needs to pull you down the road. Okay? So love it enough to do 8:57, 20 minutes every day. I did an hour right here just talking and passion through it. Next Saturday, I think I'm here, I'm going to tell you about some new little piece of paper I'm painting on and what I love about it. Okay? All right. Blessings to you. I'm out of here like a herd of turtles. Tuesday morning, I'll see some of you folks on, I'll see some of you on maybe both sides of the coin, both Patreon on Good News Rue, or anybody can come on Good News Rue at 8:57. It's where I painting through the Gospel of John. If you want to be a part of that, just read a story and paint. It's 25 minutes or a cup of tea, and then I think at 9:37 or so, I'll pick up and do a Patreon class, a short class on a series that we're working on. All right, and take some questions. I'm out of here like a herd of turtles.